was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day, the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam. We are your first responder network in healing our heroes, both first responders and veterans, through resiliency, through different programs and resources, and just trying to help make a difference in your mental mindset. Because me and Sam have both been in that place, those dark places, and we really want to be able to bring you to the point of where we are today. Well, I just want to start the show off with some prayers. I'm not going to mention no names, but somebody that I've been working with a little bit, Sam, for the last couple of weeks, a veteran who has been battling, and prayers to his family, and he is getting the treatment that he needs right now. Not the best treatment, because as we've always discussed, sometimes in the VA it's hit and miss, man. It's like a box of chocolate. I can't describe it any better. Like a Forrest Gump, you open up that box of chocolates, the VA, and sometimes you get a good piece of chocolate, and sometimes you get the shit. And obviously he really did get the shit this time, They're really treating him just like a number. And I spoke to his wife and I said, listen, that's why we do what we do. We are going to smash the stigma. We are going to be the forefront with the help of others. And we are going to make sure that we make national change. We are going to bring this to help others in the law enforcement community and along with the veteran community.
Absolutely. Well, yes, prayers all around. And, it's not getting any easier. We're up to 96 that we've lost so far from suicide. And that spans 33 states to give people an idea. We've got a huge veteran population. I think 13 of those 96 are veterans. And we've got a ton of them in law enforcement and first responder ranks. And, we've been talking about it all month. Got my camo hat on, wearing some green, but I got my blue stripe to represent. It's not getting any easier. It's getting harder. Your friend being an example. And I thought last week Matt did a really good job highlighting, hey, now we've got this massive influx, and we've got troops that are still recovering at Walter Reed. So, they're going to be coming out needing help as well. We're just trying to, we're coming off of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. There's been a lot of emotions. There's been a lot going on. Yeah. I'm over the stupid COVID thing. Still have a little stuff going on, but whatever. I'm so over this already, and I'm just, you and I have been on the same page since before we formed our own 501c3 about making sure that people had that safety net always if they need it. And our guest tonight.
Well, before you do that, can I just rewind you for a second?
Rewind.
I just want, because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I want to bring back when you brought up Matt, and it just sparked something in me where, he was shot, 5 times in his patrol car. His backup was 40 minutes away. I mean, you really don't get more traumatic than that, where you got to drive yourself. You have a 13-year-old kid in front of a firehouse putting a tourniquet on you. His story was very powerful. And then to find out that his department did absolutely nothing for almost, 9 months, mental health-wise, that nobody actually turned around and said, hey, how you doing, Matt? How's things going? Can we get you some help? Can we, let him in the right direction? He battled with workman's compensation, and this is what we have to stop. We have law enforcement officers, we have veterans out there that are battling each and every day, and the system, because of uneducation or because of finances, they have to battle again and again and again. And, this is where I think we lose a lot of our veterans and our first responders, because they do give up, because it can be so frustrating. Just think about me and you, even in the mental mindset that we're in now, that even talking to somebody from AT&T or from T-Mobile or whatever, just trying to get something fixed on a phone carrier, we get frustrated at the person on the other end of the phone. Can you imagine battling and not getting the help you need? And battling, and your family's battling, and you're being discarded after all you've done, and that breaks my heart. That really breaks my heart, and I hope we're going to change it. And with our guest, I know she is spearheading a lot of great initiatives to help change that as well.
Absolutely. She has been at it for more than a decade, helping our veterans and our first responders. She is, I'm just going to say she's an all-around badass, and we'll get into her most recent trip, but she is the Senior Director for Strategy and Innovation at Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. You all know her. We all love her. Tempa, welcome back to Mad Radio. It is fantastic to have you on.
Hey, Tempa.
Hi, John and Sam. It's so great to be back on. I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is just again an honor because of all of the incredible work that you continue to do and the difference that you make in the lives of our veterans and first responders. Tell us a little bit about Meadows, and it's a policy institute. You go on the website and it's like, wow, they do this. Wow, they're involved in this. Wait, they're doing this too. Tell us a little bit about it.
And I'm brand new, so I've only been there a couple of months, and I'm still learning everything that we do. But what I can say is that it ties in with what you were just talking about, John, is the system. So the Institute, our core purpose is to transform systems and create systems change and data-driven change. We're data-driven. We're looking at the data. We're looking at the problem and finding the gaps to create better systems and remove barriers for people who need to get the help that they need. And so I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I do want to say, a lot of people know me as being a part of One Tribe. I founded the Stay the Course program, and I am still a volunteer for One Tribe. I'm a huge advocate, and I just want everyone listening to know that. And it's kind of like the universe opened up this new opportunity for me to stretch myself, to do some larger scale initiatives. So I went from, my focus being really narrow and direct care, really, that's a special, unique thing, to I'm now zoomed out in a way that I can help multiple organizations, because it takes all of us, even you two, and everyone else that's fighting this fight together. It takes all of us doing that to make the change that needs to happen.
Now, Tempa, you brought so much, and you know what, Meadows is blessed to have you, because you bring a huge table of knowledge to this. You bring a lot of field experience, a lot of frontline experience to really propel Meadows into a new direction and to help. So I have every bit of confidence when you say the data-driven aspect of this is going to be, seen, and the numbers will be out there. I have 100% confidence that because you're now part of that team, that this is going to be this will be driven in the right direction.
Thank you so much. I hope I try to stay humble, and my hope is that I'm bringing my experience to the table. But I will tell you, I'm surrounded by a lot of brilliant people that I'm going to learn from as well. And, I feel like that's a benefit to us being open and brave enough to know that we need to learn something, so we can grow. Growing is what helps us be healthy.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
You said data-driven. You do this in a data-driven manner to help bring down barriers. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah. So working with organizations all over Texas, and like the Institute does a lot of different initiatives that some of them are, it's not just veteran and first responder focused, but that is part of the subgroup that we do work with. There are lots of veteran and first responder initiatives happening, and that will continue. But it's systems transformation, basically supporting the implementation of policies and programs that will bring together diverse mental health resources, services, and communities to drive change. And so that if you look at mental health as in the big picture, that all people, regardless of what their barriers are, whether it be financial or another type of systems barrier, like the stigma around law enforcement and first responders getting the care they need, or veterans. That's
Or addiction.
that's a unique culture, right? And or it could be economic, racial, like any type of barrier that exists. It's our job to explore that, research it, look at the research that's out there, where are the gaps in the research, and how can we learn what the gap is and what the solution is, so that we can work and collaborate with other people to find the solutions for that problem. Because we work on if we could all be more proactive instead of reactive,
Right.
then we could prevent some of the things that we're experiencing right now.
Let me ask you a question. Like I said, with your years of knowledge, working in a veteran-based community, when we opened the show, I was talking about, that life is like the VA is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. When we talk about policy and procedure, you would think that the VA across the board, because it is a governmental run agency, policies and procedures would span across the nation, and everybody would be treated exactly the same. But it seems like that's a shortfall, because I know people down just here in Texas, in South Texas and San Antonio, I hear the VA hospital is great, that they're treated wonderfully over there. And, there's not a lot of wait for mental health providers and this, that, and the other thing. Then you come here into Dallas and I hear horror stories. You go to Fort Worth, I hear horror stories. Where do you see the breakdown? And is that personnel? Is that policy? Is that somebody not following management? What is that? What would you think it is?
Well, I don't have all the answers, unfortunately.
I know that's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same questions you have. But I do know that there's the human factor is in there. Different, that's a personnel thing, right?
Right.
And you have different leaders in each of those areas. They're all broken into regions and different capacities. And so there is a lot of inconsistency in how the implementation happens. And it's the same with civilian community health, mental health care and healthcare itself. So the VA problems really just reflect the overall problem that we have in our society when it comes to healthcare.
Right.
It's kind of a slice of that if you see inside of it. And I think it's just more, it resonates more deeply with us because we are part of this community and our brothers and sisters are struggling, and we don't like to see that. But I promise you, it's an issue all over, and it's time for a change. It's time for us to shift our way of thinking and to elect the people who can make a difference. To as Americans, we need to make choices that will impact the future of this systems change happening, and people who are actually going to create policy and that will make a difference moving forward.
Right.
Now, let me ask in terms of policy, because John and I have been talking about this, forever, with a lot of different guests, and there's a lot of different opinions around it. When it comes to specifically the mental health and wellness for our first responder community, is there a push or a discussion happening about nationalizing a system so that our first responders, our law enforcement, don't fall through the cracks when it comes to mental health?
To my knowledge, I don't think so yet. So that's one of the things that, we realize we've learned, sadly, is that our law enforcement and fire police and EMS, we don't have a VA, right?
Right.
So there is not an organized national system of care for our brothers and sisters in harm's way every day. So to my knowledge, I don't know of a plan. And again, I'm new in this space, so I'm still learning. But that is a huge question that needs to be answered.
I'm curious what your opinion is on that, since, we've got, 50,000+ member departments. And then we've got like what Matthew's department that we were talking about. What was it, 4?
He had 8 in his department.
Eight.
He had 8, and I think he had 4 reserve officers.
Yeah.
But that's 12 officers covering almost 1,900 square miles.
Wow.
That's a huge area out up by the Panhandle.
Right.
And that is just, I don't want to say it's unacceptable, because you're dealing with a lot of rural areas, and but things can go south real quick, and they're not looking at the big picture for our first responders or our law enforcement. That what ifs, they're not our chiefs and our commanders are not what ifing themselves to say, well, what if this happens, and have a policy or procedure in place.
Yeah.
That if this does happen, I mean, just like the recent events with Afghanistan, what if this happens? Nobody had it. Nobody had a clue.
Yeah.
And everything went south. So my question with the policy and procedure is, if it wasn't for a lot of our grassroots organizations, our foundations, such as 22 Kill or One Tribe or Badge of Honor, or Heroes on the Water, or all these different organizations that are sparked by volunteers, is our government depending on all of us to make sure we carry that load, and this way they don't have to? I see a smile coming in, but you know what I'm saying? I look at the biker community, and the biker community raises millions and millions and millions of dollars for different organizations and different medical research and everything else. We do the same thing. We're a grassroots, and everybody's stepping up, except our politicians and our government, to help our first responders. And I think that's where our problem lies a lot. Not that I want the government involved in it too much, but
right. That's another side of it, right? No one wants to give up the control over their area or their domain, precinct, whatever, county, city. There's a balance. There has to be a fine balance between, and I'm not a government person. I don't, when it comes to my job for my, my new work is, I'm on the very outskirts of that because I'm a mental health professional. So I may be, doing something that can affect policy, but that's not my primary role. My primary role is to work with organizations like the ones you just mentioned out there, who are grassroots oriented and who are filling the gap, and figure out a way of how we can support them in connecting with other organizations to do the powerful work and make the differences that they're making out in the community. You're right. And I think your point that I'm hearing is that it's sad that we have to come together, and that the people are the only ones that it feels like that are finding solutions to this problem, right? That's what it feels like to us, is that the people up there don't seem to notice, that there's this issue. And the rest of us are trying to figure it out and find solutions and cover down.
Right, because we have a boatload of individuals throughout the nation who have the intelligence to bring policy but they're being stonewalled. They're being either shot down by their locals, or they're not being able to voice their opinion, and that's where I see what lays the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a disclaimer for me, everything I'm saying is my own personal opinion. Obviously,
Exactly.
I'm not representing any organization whatsoever, but there are more questions than we have answers right now.
Right.
And so
Well,
we have to keep coming together and asking the questions and keep asking the questions to the people in power who can make the change.
Right. Well, I'm glad you are finally in a role where somebody is collecting this data, and going to put this together because, like I said, it may not happen tomorrow, may not happen next month or next year, but at least now I'm sitting at ease knowing that there's at least Meadows is out there collecting data, looking for a solution, and that really puts an ease in my head, going, okay, at least we're on the right road,
Yes.
And,
I do, and I believe that there are many other organizations like Meadows and like all the ones that we hold dear to our hearts who are doing great work. I believe in my heart that there are a lot of people just like all of us who will continue fighting that fight and looking for the answers. And so we have to believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of near and dear to our hearts, Dan Lombardo Jr. Tell Tempa we miss her, but I'm proud of her new opportunity. She will do great things. So,
thank you, Dan.
Yeah, you got a lot of fans here, and I find that there's a lot of overlap with some of the we'll just call them grassroots organizations, which in a way is great because everybody can't be everywhere all the time. So okay, you miss a workshop here, you can go to the next one, or you can go over here. How are you guys collecting data? Are you like asking questions of organizations or of people that are involved in receiving treatment?
We work on the organizational level mostly. And so we may go in and partner with an organization in a consulting status to do an organizational assessment, interview staff, interview community stakeholders, and pull data from the general population to compare the data of what's happening there. And so to be able to inform that organization, to give them recommendations for how to improve their organization or their care. Does that make sense? So it's kind of
like a bar rescue. Kind of like a bar rescue. You come in.
Bar rescue. I like that.
Or Restaurant Impossible or something. Yeah.
So really going in and helping them figure out where the gaps are, how we can improve those, and improve programs, improve implementation of programs. It's on that level that I will be doing most of my work.
I think that's amazing because there's like we said, there's so many grassroots organizations out there that want to do stuff. They want to do the right thing. They have a great idea. They have a great program. They just are missing that fine-tuned tuning, and they don't know how to implement certain things, or they can't get the word out. So that's great. That's great because that can uplift each organization.
Or they don't have the proper resources to do what they need to do. So they need someone who can offer assistance in helping them find those resources.
Right.
The organization A needs a certain resource that organization B has. And together, if they were to connect and learn how to work together, they could accomplish all these new things because they have the funding and the resources to do so. And that's the kind of connecting that needs to continue to happen.
I love that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Instead of, we hear there's so many people competing. It's like you get the big picture. Well, what if we looked at what we're missing in our organizations, plugged in with each other? Imagine Imagine
we had that experience, and I'm glad me and Sam didn't know how to, I guess, fine tune it or cultivate it. When we ran our first or second workshop, we invited a whole bunch of different organizations to come in that really knew about each other on Facebook or through channels, but really never connected and met. And what me and Sam saw that day was the conversations beginning between these organizations, the card sharing, the, hey, how can I help you? And, we didn't know how to cultivate that at the time, but we did see that there was something beginning. And I think this is an amazing thing for so many. This is a great thing for every organization out there to be part of.
Absolutely. That collaborative spirit, good things come from that. And something else that is part of that kind of collaboration that the Institute is very involved in on many levels is integrated healthcare. And something that I feel is very important to our veteran and first responder community is in healthcare in general, we tend to separate the brain from the body, but integrating those two things, we are mind and body together, and all of that together is healthcare.
Yeah.
Right.
So having integrated care where we're keeping in mind that our lived experiences we carry around in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And the harsher our lived experiences are, the more impact it has on our mind and body. And so there are lots of answers to that. And mental health is more than just going to an office and seeing a counselor. It's more than that. We have to find the recipe that works for us. And I wanted to mention, this is Suicide Prevention Month. And it's why wait until we're at risk?
Right.
Let's move upstream and let's find ways to be proactive in helping people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that it's not a cookie cutter approach because it's not one size fits all. It's allowing people to heal in what works for them. Yep.
Yeah.
But we're still at that phase where, the stigma holds a lot of people down. And like you said, Tempa, we want to move upstream, but a lot of people are afraid. A lot of veterans, a lot of first responders are afraid to move upstream for what they're going to be viewed as, or the impact, or how they will be valued. And we have to keep raising the awareness flag, saying, "Whoa, there is no stigma within our community."
Right, and I know firsthand, and I've shared this with Sam when I was on a few months ago. My husband, was basically terminated because of a PTSD diagnosis from law enforcement. And so our family knows firsthand what that's about. And that's why I shout it so loudly from the rooftops about breaking that stigma, because until we, as a community across the nation, will allow people to step up and let it be okay to say they're struggling, and let it be okay for them to say, I need help, things are not going to change until we can change the culture in our organizations and allow that to be okay.
And when you say change the culture, we've still got a lot of, I'll call it the old school mentality in law enforcement. I mean, frankly, until I moved to Texas, I never met anybody who had been in law enforcement for 40 years, right? I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
It's and talking to some of the personnel in those departments, that they're like, yeah, the leadership just, they don't get it. Other departments, that leadership, thank goodness, has decided to move on and never recognize PTSD as a thing at all. And it's like, hello, what planet are you on?
Right.
And it really was a detriment, to that department for a long time, but things have started to change. Do you think it's just going to take, for all the salty ones, I don't know what else to call them, to
Right. The
go?
Yeah.
Just kind of like, go. You've had your time, and now it's
Yeah, that's part of the process is the sloughing off of the old way of thinking and the people who've been in there for so long and that aren't going to change. You're not going to change their thinking.
Right.
But we can work on, in our one-on-one conversations, it starts with one person having the right conversation with another person. That can spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And so don't worry about the top, worry about the people on your left and your right.
I agree with that. But we have so much negativity within some of our first responders that, and I hate to use the word cancer, I really do, but they're cancerous within their departments because, and like Sam said, we have those 10 and 15-year guys that may be so cynical and they're just, we call them hair bags in the NYPD, they bring such negativity to the rookies, the new guys, the under 5 years that are really trying to make a difference, and they want to be like the salty dogs, and the salty dogs bring this bad karma on them. And believe it or not, that resonates with so many young officers that they become disdained.
Yes, they do. It's toxic, isn't it?
It is very toxic.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the older staff moving out, right? And my old lieutenant used to be sitting behind the desk with a bottle of scotch on the midnights. That's, and then you still have guys drinking on it. So it's a ripple effect in the downward way as well as it is in the upward.
Right. Yes. I totally hear what you're saying. And that's
we just got to change the tide. We got to change that tide.
We have to change the tide. And we can only change and control what we can change and control.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are doing that and are the toxic people, we can't allow those individuals to keep us from pushing the line forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's easy for me to say, right? I'm not in their shoes, and I admit that. But we have to believe in the impossible in order to achieve what we need to achieve.
I do believe that, and pushing that line, and me and Sam try to do, and Sam does a great job at it, really pushing forward. But we've received a lot of pushback on a lot of things that we've tried to do because of we don't need this in our department. We don't need you to talk to our guys, and that's heartbreaking.
That is
because and these come from different trainers and people who are in peer support that, some of these guys that go into the peer support groups think they're like the, neighborhood watch group, and they got a title and they really don't want to help. They just got that title. So
right.
A lot
everyone has their own personal
version.
Intentions and reasons that they get into certain positions and roles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so one way that I'm throwing out there is to instead of worrying about the labels, right? We all know what PTSD is. We know the impact that traumatic experiences have. We're not wired as humans to sustain that forever, right? It changes us. It changes our DNA even. Trauma does. And so to focus more on self-care instead of the label. So what can I do to create more resilience in, teaching people on how to use resilience building skills in order to manage the work that they're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what I'm saying about, and getting away from the conversations about diagnosis. And let's just talk about the simple things.
Okay. I agree 100%. And I'm just going to throw a little backlash on that. When a cop is working 10 and 12-hour shifts, right? He or she really has no time to build that resiliency because he's always in that hypervigilant state. They're always going, right? There's never there's never any decompression time for our first responders. When we talk about going on a national level for emotional for mental wellness, right? We got to give these first responders a break. We got to say, hey, listen, after 300 or 500 or whatever hours we talk about on the street, we got to kick them back a little bit. Hey, listen, take a breather, take a break, decompress. Let's chat about what you saw over the last 300 hours. Let's talk about all those robberies, homicides, rapes, assaults. Let's get those out so we don't have the compressed trauma inside us that one day at retirement or after will explode. If we start taking little nits and pieces of these and let the officer decompress instead of going to the bar at 4 o'clock in the morning after shift. See, those are the things we have to start working on, and give our guys are taxed. Our first responders are taxed, especially nowadays.
John, you just described some of the things that are resilience building skills. Having the space to decompress, having someone you can talk to about what happened on a shift, being able to take some time off, checking out for a couple of hours, taking an extended lunch or whatever, all those things matter when it comes to taking care of yourself in the work.
Yeah.
And that's why I partnered with John, because he asked the tough questions. He's been there, and the work that you do, Tempa, teaching it, the work that a badge of honor in our workshops, and we teach it. It is getting to a point, and I was thinking about this as a topic for an article upcoming, is that we've really got to check in with ourselves and do what we need to do for us, for our families, because the department doesn't care for our families, for the extended us, if you will. And it's a responsibility. Hey, we signed on the dotted line. We know kind of, sort of what's involved. Trauma is trauma. Things happen. It's not a given that everybody's going to experience the same thing.
Right.
But knowing that, oh, hey, I signed up for this, but I remember somebody came in and lectured about this trauma thing, and maybe I'll go talk to somebody, or maybe I'll ask, my partner. It's tearing the wall down brick by brick and exposing folks to more and more so that they can push the envelope. And I want to take a slight turn talking about pushing the envelope, because you just did something that was freaking amazing.
Wait.
We'd be remiss not to talk about this, because talk about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. You went on a solo motorcycle road trip and met up with a bunch of other freaking awesome women. Tell us about that.
Wait, Sam, before you bring that up, I want to take a question. You're not reading the comments. I don't mean to cut you off, but this really does bring to light. Jim Kelly, a retired New York City detective. I worked with him for many years. He wonders if the psychological evaluations entrance tests to enter the job have changed over the years. Has woke or political correction affected the stress of some of these cops? Yes. Now, he brings up a good point. When we went on a job I got back on in the 90s, we had our mental evaluations. We had an oral and a written. I wonder if those things have changed. Those written exams have changed for the woke personalities to maybe have to doctor them up. I mean, I don't know if somebody does know how they're doing it now, I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago how things were. But that's an amazing question. What are we looking in for the resilience before you get on a job? How resilient are you before you get on a job? And are you able to be are you able to handle this job? Are you able to handle the stresses of the job?
Yes, that is a fantastic question. And I recently did some research related to a report I was writing about that and mental health screenings. And it seems like the civilian world is doing some more consistent mental health screenings, but it seems that over the years, the mental health part of the screening and evaluations have changed. And what I was seeing was that they are more geared to personality testing and and a little less about the actual psychological mental health side. And I've talked with a lot of leaders in different first responder organizations in the last few years, and there is a shift where we're trying to incorporate and layer in more frequent check-ins, and not in an intimidating way, but to look at the whole person, mind, body, spirit, all of it in those annual evaluations, and giving access to the person and letting them see their results and helping them see where they may have some areas that they need to pay attention to gain that self-awareness, right?
Right.
Because as you know, in this work, if you're not self-aware, you're just going to keep barreling on, every day and never stop until you explode, like you mentioned earlier, until it comes out sideways. And so increasing self-awareness, but that's a great question. I wonder, what is there a gap there? Is that an area that we could improve?
Right. Well, thank you, Jim Kelly, for
Thank you, Jim.
bringing that up. Thank you very much. Jim's retired and a lot of years in the NYPD in different divisions. So thanks, Jim. So now we can talk about your motorcycle run.
Yay. So, I love to ride motorcycles, and it is part of my self-care, even though it's thrilling and adrenaline producing, right? It's also relaxing, it's mindful, and it does build resilience for me. I push myself to do those things so that I can. It's kind of like facing your fears and overcoming something, and it gives confidence. So last year, this is a kind of part of my story, is last year I went to North Carolina to the same place. It's the Iron Horse Motorcycle Lodge, and amazing people up there. And the organization, Women Freedom Riders, they do, it's 18 states and 18 days across the U.S. to raise money. And last year, 22 Kill was a recipient of their fundraising. So I had never heard of them before. But they did this fundraising for us, and I went up there and I flew in. Was supposed to speak and tell about all the things that we do, and I rented a bike while I was there because at the time I didn't have anyone to ride up there with, and I was like, I'll just fly in and rent a bike. So I rented a bike so I was riding a bike that wasn't mine, I wasn't familiar with, and the roads up there are very challenging rides. It's curve after curve after curve, hairpin turns.
Not our country roads.
Not our country roads here. No, it's not Texas. And so I actually had an accident last year and broke my ankle and banged myself up pretty good. So this year, and I made tons of friends with these women, and I was so impressed by these strong women. There were women up into their 70s are still riding two wheels.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm coming back next year. And so this time it was my own personal challenge. I was going to ride up there. And again, for various reasons, there was no one that was available to go with me. So I decided to make the trek, make it a personal adventure and a personal challenge for myself to go up there. And I called it kind of like a soul journey because I did a lot of thinking on that motorcycle,
Like that.
Yeah.
That,
And
I mean, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you for doing that. And that's an amazing feat for anybody to really travel across. I mean, what is that, about 12, 1,500, 1,400 miles?
it
1,300
was
miles?
just shy of 1,000 miles each way.
Each way. But to make that trip, some guys don't want to go 50 miles by themselves. To go 1,000 miles by yourself, you're really going to get into your head. I mean, that must have been a cleansing ride for you.
It really was. It was. And it's an example of ways that we can find, if we have days to take off, take them. Do something that's cleansing like that for you.
Right.
Plus, being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Find ways that you can grow or face your fears, or or just relax. There's no right or wrong to that, right? Unless you're doing something that's healthy. And I know motorcycles can be dangerous, but it was a good stretch and a good learning journey for me. So
that's awesome.
I was proud of myself.
Well, we're proud of you. We're
amazing.
proud of you. We're proud of you. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Absolutely amazing. For sure.
I know it's not as uncommon as you think. Maybe more for a woman. For a guy to travel by himself across the country, it's no big deal. People don't really think twice about that.
But see a woman do it, it is.
Yeah.
It's empowering for you. It's and it's inspirational for other women to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And empowerment is the key, right? Finding things that empower us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Truly. Well, this has been an incredible conversation, as they always are, full of, knowledge. Learn so much more about how things work. I'll call it behind the scenes, and why collaboration is important, and the things that we can still change. It's still worth it to keep fighting, to keep collaborating, and to keep working, because the end result is we are going to have healthier veterans, healthier law enforcement community, and healthier first responders across the board. And Tempa, we can't thank you enough for your time once again, and congratulations on your new position at Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. It just sounds like it's totally amazing.
It really is. And I'm so excited. I still get to work with all these organizations that I love. And shout out to One Tribe, because it truly is one tribe, one fight. Like, that's what all of this is. And I just have to throw that out there because it rings true. And I'm really proud and grateful for the work you and John do as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Really.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you for having me. I really have enjoyed chatting with you guys.
Best of luck. We look forward to hearing some good stuff. Please keep us updated. And any way we can help, please let us know.
Thank you. Same here. Y'all let me know if I can help in any way.
Thank you so much, Tempa.
Thank you, Tempa.
Bye.
All right.
God bless.
Bye-bye. God bless. Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, she's an amazing woman anyway. She really has, from every aspect of her life, she's really put forth a lot, heart and soul, into both the first responder and the veteran community. God bless her, and she's still forging forward. You got to love just the energy that she gives off. Just being around her gives you off so much energy that you want to make a difference in someone's life.
Yes, and I just put up on the chat and the comments that if you have questions or you want to find out more about Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute, visit their website. mmhpi.org. It is chock full of a lot of deep stuff. I mean, I read a lot of this stuff 2 or 3 times. Formulate your questions, get in touch with Tempa and ask, because it is going to take a gigantic village to keep making strides in the mental health policy to heal our heroes, and they deserve it for sure.
They do. They do.
Speaking of healing our heroes, we've got some quick announcements here. So on Saturday, September 25th, it's a very, very busy day. In the morning, everybody, you can still register for the Travis Manion Foundation 9/11 Heroes Run. You can go to travismanion.org and just you can find DFW is the city. You can register or volunteer to run, to walk, to ruck. But come on out and honor our heroes from 9/11. And John, there's a gala that evening, I understand.
Yeah, Blue Help is flying in. First Help, actually. They're flying in. They're doing a Dallas walk on that day. They're also doing a camp for the children. They're starting a camp for first responders children. And we are having a gala for for Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation. So go on to Heroes Bridge Memorial Park Foundation.com or check out Blue Help. See how you can register and be a part of this great weekend. It's going to be 4 days of really healing our heroes and making a difference.
Yeah, and then on the 26th, are we doing Hands Across the Bridge?
No, because we're going to be doing the Dallas
That's what I thought. Okay.
The Dallas law enforcement walk. We didn't want it to coincide. It was a little too much. We didn't want to burn people out. They have a lot going on that weekend. We got a lot of families flying in from all over, so we didn't want to overwhelm them. So we'll do the Hands Across the Bridge at another time. Let's really focus on the park and Blue Help right now.
Awesome. Then on November 5th at the Garland Police Department, a badge of honor, we will be out doing another workshop. It is 8 hours. It is a workshop. We are learning tactics, strategies, tools to combat the stress of the job. Exactly what we talked about with Tempa, all about building resiliency and giving you all resources so that if something does come up, all you do is one click, bam, you are on the page. You have a phone number. And that's what it's all about, continuing to work together to partner to heal our hero communities out there. So that is Friday, November 5th. You can get more information at abadgeofhonor.com. So check it out there. As always, we appreciate you checking us out each week. And if you are watching on Facebook, thank you so much. We ask that you jump on over to our YouTube, which is at Mad Radio Texas. Again, we're trying to get as many subscribers as possible, because when you reach 200 on YouTube, you get your own channel. Woohoo! So
I'm so proud of you. You know why?
Why?
Because you said jump over to YouTube, not jump over to the YouTube.
The YouTube.
I'm so proud that you did not say the YouTube or the Facebook.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll make sure I don't say the other thing the other way. So if you're watching us on YouTube, hey, YouTube family, thank you so much for your support and for subscribing. Jump on over to our Facebook page, which is at Making a Difference TX, or you can just search at the top Mad Radio. You'll see the picture of me and John, and you'll get to follow us on Facebook as we do this each week. Each week we talk about some really tough things, and Tempa highlighted her husband, with PTS, and how his department, gave him the shaft. I'll just say it flat out. Yeah. Very unfortunate. We want to stop that. We don't want to have any more stories like that. We're starting to see a change, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Right.
And for every first responder, for every law enforcement officer, firefighter, EMS, everybody who gets out of bed every day to make sure that we are safe here in the homeland on our own soil, we thank you. We pray for you every day. We pray for your families. We pray for your safety and for you to come home. And to all of our soldiers still fighting overseas to protect and preserve our liberties that we get, it gives John and I the ability to do this each week. We are praying for you as well. We want you to come home safe. And to the veterans, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We love you so much. John, take us home.
I'm just gonna, mimic what Tempa said. Empowerment. It's in all of us. Keep a good mental mindset. Work every day at it. It's not a quick fix. It takes time. It takes support. It takes a network of people. So make sure you find the right support group. Make sure you find the right things that work for you. Remember, not everything's going to work for you. It's not a one size fits all. All right. So check out, equine therapy worked for me. Who would have thought, right? Horses. But that worked for me. But never give up. Always keep searching. And if you fall into that little ditch, give us a call. Me and Sam are always available 100% of the time to raise that hand and lift you out. So until next week, man, God bless. Sam, I'm glad you and Steve are feeling better. Thank God that you were able to do the show. I want to thank everybody who's been listening. Thank you, Jim Kelly, for an amazing question. And all is going well. Hope to see you soon. Until next week, Sam.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.